I think my grandmother sold my soul to the devil by Crazyylegs. So, a little background here. My grandmother passed a few months ago. She was a lovely lady, very stubborn and set in her ways. At the young age of 88, she left this world for another. She was eccentric but lived a normal life. My grandfather and her were a working class family. They raised 3 children, each with their own secrets. Being eccentric isn't what tipped the scales here for my grandiose assumption. When I was young, I would get deja vu, always taking place at her home. I would have dreams of being there. I could see the pictures on the wall, the most prominent being a gold-leafed, nearly life-size portrait of Jesus Christ in her living room. I inquired as to where the painting came from and was simply told, "Your grandfather stole it from a church before it was destroyed." As a child, I assumed he was trying to save it from being part of the rubble of said church before it was torn down. But in light of my current assumption, I presume it was much deeper than that. I believe my grandmother sold her soul to the devil, and my grandfather stole the painting of Jesus as sort of a protector of the home, thinking the devil would not be able to collect on their deal when the time came. She always had odd abilities. She was able to perform small tricks, we will call them. She can move a ring from one finger to another without moving. She was able to play the piano with such fervor, never having taken a lesson. At times, she would even be able to predict future events. She was able to tell me what I would do after high school, something I didn't even know until after I graduated. She would even warn me about making future purchases, the most prominent being my purchase of a set of rollerblades, to which she said, "By the end of the week, you will be in the hospital." Well, she was right, but it was because I had become so dehydrated that week from being outside that I needed to be hospitalized to avoid dying. This trait was passed down to her daughter, who was able to predict an accident on a Ferris wheel at an amusement park I worked at. She begged me for hours not to go to work that day, even going so far as to contact my coworkers and warn them. As odd as it was, they did not show for work, and I was the one at work for the accident. Thankfully, no one died when the gondola on the Ferris wheel fell, but 5 were injured. My grandfather would always tell us that my grandmother was a special type of woman, hinting to her ability but never confirming it until her deathbed. At her funeral, he requested no cross be in the casket and that all religious ceremony be suspended. His request was granted by the 3 children, who I believe know the truth. My grandfather wanted her debt with the devil to be paid and the rest of the family to be free from the burden. Too little, too late. My soul was sold. I was in the room when she passed, and everything about it was odd. I had seen my grandmother on her deathbed many times before. She was riddled with cancer and was given her last rites via priest, and she made a full recovery. In total, she was given her last rites 7 times. She was told, "You will not survive this," 7 times, and every time she did. She survived everything from the aforementioned cancer to an infected heart to a brain aneurysm and polio. She was one tough woman, especially when she had the devil by her side. I say her passing was odd because it was. I've had the displeasure of being with many as they passed on. I work as a firefighter/paramedic, but hers didn't fit the rest. Prior to her last breath, the room went cold. I could see my breath, odd for August in Ohio. She was warm, however. She radiated heat, so much so that I moved closer to investigate. She felt as though she could boil sweat or melt steel. I couldn't hold her hand for very long. When she did take her last breath, I felt some sort of electricity pass between her and I. Her last words were in Italian, a language she did not speak. A pop of sorts was heard. I made nothing of it until the chill rose, everything settled, and she was still. But what bothers me most is what she said in Italian. "Benvenuto a mio figlio." Welcome, my child. Since that day, I've changed. I cannot gain or lose weight. I can understand Spanish, and I seem to have the answers to questions I've never researched. I have vivid dreams of my past, and I'm able to reach out and alter them. I have a deeper understanding of what I'm on the earth to do and the ability to do it without fail. When I touch someone in need, I feel that same electricity flow from me to them. And worst of all, now that I'm the one that's able to predict the tragedy, I'm sorry to say, my day is coming. It will be a rainy night, and the car will not stop. I will glide into the eternity of darkness, and my soul in the infinite servitude of the man himself, Lucifer. Hi, I just want to thank everybody for listening in on my first video. It really means a lot to me. And a special thanks to Crazyylegs for allowing me to share his story on my channel. I really appreciate it. Whether you liked or disliked this narration, please feel free to let me know in the comments and tap that like button if you want to hear more. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for listening and have an electrifying day.